AI should do everything for your personal brand. Generate your ideas, write your scripts, design your thumbnails, and edit your videos while you sleep. That's what a lot of people are telling you right now. And then there's the people that refuse to touch the technology, that are working through every single step manually, spending entire days on content when there's a smarter process that can cut that time in half. The personal brands that are winning right now are the ones that figured out exactly where AI belongs in the process and where it doesn't. My name is Leo, and together with my best friend Francesco, I spent the last 5 years building a content system for our brand in the music production niche. That brand now generates over $12,000 per month in net revenue consistently, with margins above 80%. And that process forced us to figure out exactly where Claude fits in a content system and where it doesn't. What we learned changed how fast we could build our brand without losing our identity along the way. In this video, I'll show you exactly how to use Claude in your own content system so that you can build and monetize your personal brand on autopilot. Before I show you any Claude prompt or system, we need to go back to the fundamentals, because without the fundamentals, everything else is useless. What actually makes content good? Good content does 3 things. It attracts, it engages, and it delivers to your audience. So what do I mean by it attracts? The first point is the topic. Is your target audience actually interested in the topic that you're about to speak about in your video? If you're choosing topics that don't resonate with your audience, you'll be starting this whole process at a huge disadvantage. And the second point is the click. Does your thumbnail stop the scroll? Does your title create enough curiosity or urgency to earn the click? And it's the packaging that is going to earn the click from your target audience. The reason why you clicked on this video is because the thumbnail stopped you from scrolling further on YouTube, and the title created enough intrigue for you to actually spend time to watch this video. So let's imagine you've gotten your viewer to click on your video. You have seconds, and I mean seconds, to keep them watching the video. There's 3 things that will determine whether you're able to do that. The first one is the hook. Does your opening make it impossible to stop watching the video in the first 30 seconds? So once somebody's clicked on your video, the hook will create and spark that interest that will lead the viewer to watch, hopefully, all of your video. Then the premise. Is the core premise of the video specific enough that the viewer thinks, this video is exactly what I need? So it's your responsibility to be very clear about the value that you're about to deliver in your video. And at that point, the viewer should feel like what they're about to get is exactly what they need. And then the structure. Is every section earning the next one, or does the video have dead weight that kills retention? Does the information flow smoothly from one section to another? So let's say you've engaged your viewer. What matters most now is delivery, because it's what turns viewers into subscribers and subscribers into an audience that trusts you and that potentially one day will buy from you. So you can have the prettiest thumbnails, the best titles, the best hooks, but if you're not actually delivering value to your viewers in your videos, then everything is going to remain superficial. And not only will your subscriber count not grow, but you're also never going to leverage your content to actually convert leads into paid clients. So what is delivery really about? The first thing is the value. Does the viewer leave with something actionable that they didn't have before watching? And this is super, super important. Are you actually teaching something to the person that has chosen to invest their own time into watching your content? And the second point is the payoff. Does the ending make them feel like they invested their time well? And do they want to watch more of your content? So now that you know what makes content actually good, let's look at the 7 steps required to create that content and understand where and how Claude can actually help. Let's start with brand positioning, because it's the foundation. This is how your brand will sit in the mind of your viewers. You need to define who you are, who you're for, and what makes you different from your competition. Every piece of content that you create should be an extension of this, and if it doesn't fit your positioning, then that video should never be made. It will be a waste of your time. The problem is that a lot of people skip this step. They start posting content without ever thinking about who they want to be for their viewer. The result is content that feels confusing and that never really compounds because it's pointing at too many different directions at once. Now, Claude cannot and should not define your brand positioning for you. It cannot choose who you are, what you stand for, or what makes your angle unique. This part just has to come from your own brain. If you hand that responsibility to AI, you're going to get brand positioning that doesn't feel true to who you are as an individual. But Claude can help you structure and articulate what's already in your head. I built something specifically for this, a Claude skill that helped me articulate all of my ideas to define my brand positioning for this very brand and for my personal brand as well. I'm going to show you how it works now, and remember that you can click the first link in the description to download it for free so that you can use it to articulate your own ideas and build your own personal brand positioning. So this is the skill that I created, and essentially what it does is that it creates, let's say, a dialogue with the user. So when you prompt this skill, it will ask you a lot of questions one by one. Questions such as, who are you? Who are you for? What do you know that others in your space don't? What do you want your content to feel like? All these questions that are essential one at a time, but it will not give you answers because the whole point is that the thinking happens in your own brain and not in the model. Again, the point is that Claude should not decide for you, but AI is an incredible tool to help you structure your ideas to have an output that actually helps you. So you can see that as an output, I have this document, my positioning is the freedom documenter. I think that's a very powerful line as well. And it has a lot of sections. Who am I talking to? What do I stand for? What makes me different? My contrarian beliefs, what changes for your audience, directions that don't fit my brand. And so now I have this very powerful baseline that I can use to make content. And now let's move to the second step, which is inspiration. And inspiration is not about waiting for ideas to magically appear, because that is a recipe for inconsistency. Inspiration really is a system. You need to study what's already working. You need to analyze your competitors, find outlier videos in your niche, meaning videos that outperformed the average of channels you're looking at, and listen to your audience pain points. Because the point is not to copy, it's to find proven demand and putting your unique angle that comes from your brand positioning on top of that. You can make things from scratch, of course, but you'll be testing a lot of things blindly and you might waste a lot of time. So the goal is to find where attention already exists in your niche, and then to create your own version with your own angle, your own voice, your own positioning behind it. The challenge is that understanding where this attention exists manually would take hours. You'd have to go through competitor channels one by one, look at their views, look at the outlier videos, understand more or less the channel averages, pull the titles, study the thumbnails. It's a lot of work, and we don't want to do that manually. So I automated it with another skill. Every Monday morning, this skill will run in the background and will do essentially all the research for me. As you can see, this skill uses vidIQ, which is a great tool to pull numbers from YouTube, and it will go one by one through all the competitors that I listed in the prompt and extract information from their channels. Every week, it'll identify outlier videos, meaning videos that performed at least 1.5x above a channel's 90-day average view count. And all of this data will be fed directly into my Notion database. As you can see, it extracted very basic information from people in my niche that I consider competitors and that I also look up to because I think their content is super cool. I'll have the video title, the URL, the views, the average channel views 90 days, the outlier multiplier, and a quick comment on what opportunity this represents for my brand, New Way Society. Once I have the data, I'll spend some time manually looking at the videos and really understanding why this piece of content outperformed. What makes it so good? Is it the packaging? Is it the title, the thumbnail? Is it the structure of the video, the value delivered? There's a lot of potential factors that made this video an outlier, and it is my responsibility to understand it by doing research with my own brain. And I really love this duality between facilitating a part of the process, but then reflecting on my own to understand why something worked. And so once I understand why a video performed well, I ask myself, what's a version of this content that fits my brand, my voice, my audience? Because again, and I want to emphasize that the goal is not to copy, it's to find inspiration and to understand what works in our niche and adapting that to our own perspective, our own voice, proven demand, and unique perspective. Then we move to the third step, which is packaging. As I mentioned earlier, it's a key part of the process. This is about designing your thumbnail and writing your title before you script. And I see a lot of people not doing this, but packaging is what earns the click. If it doesn't stop the scroll, nothing else matters. Nobody's going to watch your video. So you could be spending so much time creating this piece of content, but if you leave the packaging for the last minute, you might make something that is not worthy and that will not get the views that the value you delivered in the video deserves. And we don't use AI for this, at least not yet. And the reason is not that AI can't generate thumbnails or suggest titles. It can, but for us, packaging is simply too important, and handing that judgment to AI right now just feels like the wrong trade. What we do instead is we go back to our Notion database with the videos that, performed well, and we try to understand why those thumbnail and title combinations worked. We really try to dig the psychology behind it, and we adapt it to our own style and to our own brand. And packaging is simply a lot of testing. You have to test a lot of different things and understand what works best for you and also for the audience that you're trying to build. Then we move to scripting, and this is where we turn our idea into a structured narrative. You open with a hook that makes it impossible to leave, you build with clear and engaging content, and you close with a payoff that makes the viewer feel that the time they invested was 100% worth it. In my opinion, Claude can be very useful for scripting, but I think there's two schools of thought. And I think that the choice you make here is really going to define what your content feels like and sounds like in the long term. The first approach is AI first. You give Claude a topic, a rough angle of what you want to talk about, maybe some bullet points, and you let Claude generate a first draft. Then once you have that first draft, you go ahead and rewrite it in your own voice. A lot of people do this because it's easier to iterate on something than starting from scratch. And the second approach is you first. You write a complete first draft, obviously a very messy version with a lot of mistakes and thoughts and ideas that are kind of half formed. Then you bring Claude in to help you shape it, structure it in a more efficient way. And I obviously prefer the second version because the moment you start with AI, you're somehow already working within the boundaries of what it generated. And I've tried that in the past, but it just feels like I'm writing inside these walls and I really don't like the feeling. I'd rather have a complete messy version first and then use AI to help me structure those ideas and refine them into something that I can record. The way I've taken this further is by building a skill that learned specifically from my own scripts. And so this very skill is based on my style of writing, my style of sharing my ideas. And the more scripts I write, the better this skill will become because it will keep learning my way and my style of writing. And so what I'll do most of the time is I'll say something like optimize this script. Obviously, I will give it more instructions. I'll try to be as clear as possible. I will copy paste my rough draft in Claude and I will keep iterating with Claude until I find the final version that I feel really satisfied with and that I feel ready to record. So I think that scripting is also a super important part of the content creation process. And I really believe that Claude is extremely useful if used correctly. Then we move to editing, which is about shaping the raw footage into something that holds attention from start to finish. Editing allows you to deliver value in the most efficient way possible throughout your video. I still edit my videos manually from A to Z, although AI is becoming more and more useful in certain parts of this process. It can cut silences out automatically. It can create simple motion graphics. It can add captions. But for now, I'd rather own the whole process. For some reason, editing is something that I actually enjoy. It feels, soothing to me. And I just feel like every decision in the editing process, whether it's the pacing, what gets cut, the sound design, the music, even the motion graphics, adds a little bit to the story. And a lot of what makes a brand feel unique and distinct lives in that editing process. I think it's those things that you can't fully articulate, but that you feel as a viewer. For that reason, this is a part of the content creation process that I'm not willing to automate yet. So my suggestion for you is to either own this part of the process or to hire an editor that really understands your style and your vision as a creator. And the sixth step is distribution, because uploading a video on YouTube is not enough. You need to push your video actively, especially in the first 24 to 48 hours through shorts, stories, cross posts, etc., because the algorithm rewards momentum and essentially it's your job to create that momentum. And the fact is that the amount of time and energy that goes into a long form piece of content is significant. A lot of people upload that piece of content and don't really make the best of it, because inside every long form video, there are multiple ideas and insights that could easily live independently on other platforms. The task is to identify and extract those ideas and those insights so that you can then create short form content from your long form video. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts are all channels that can amplify your reach and drive more traffic to your YouTube channel. And here as well, Claude can save a significant amount of time. I built a skill that essentially takes my final YouTube script and finds the strongest angles for short form reformatting. So I can simply prompt this skill something like find 3 key ideas or insights to reformat this YouTube script into short form content. I will paste my YouTube script and the output of this skill will be specific angles or ideas for short form content. This doesn't mean that the skill will create my final short form, scripts. I still want to do that manually, just like for long form, but it will help me maybe identify angles, ideas, or insights that work specifically for platforms such as Instagram and TikTok. So again, I'm doing the work here, but Claude is helping me extract these key ideas from a work that I already did, which was the long form script. Now, last but not least, analytics. Analytics is what closes the whole loop and brings us back to inspiration. And I'm going to explain that in a minute. Analytics is key because it measures what worked and what didn't. Metrics such as a CTR, which is click-through rate, tells you if the packaging landed. Retention tells you if the content delivered. So it's super important to use the data to feed your next round of inspiration, because this is what turns a good video into a repeatable system. This is what allows you to stop guessing and to start acting on what works. So about once a month or every 4 videos, I will run a Claude skill called YouTube Analytics that essentially does all of this for me. It pulls every published video from our channel and ranks them across the KPIs that actually matter to us. Average view duration and retention rate, which tells you whether the content delivered. Impressions, which tell you how aggressively YouTube's algorithm pushed it. Click-through rate combined with watch time, which together tell you whether the topic had real demand or just kind of surface curiosity. So all of this information will be uploaded in this table here, and I can refresh the data. It will output the video title, the video URLs, how many days the video has been live for, total views, comments, likes, like rate percentage, retention, views per hours, and stuff like that. This is 100% doable directly from YouTube. I just like to have all the information in a Notion database. And essentially every round of analytics will make the next round of content smarter, because you'll have a better understanding of what worked for your channel. So that's the full system. If you want to start somewhere, start with brand positioning, as everything else kind of depends on it and it's the hardest one to do alone. You can click the first link in the description to download the Claude skill that I showed you earlier. And if you want to build this entire system around your own personal brand with guidance tailored specifically to your niche and to your situation, this is exactly what Francesco and I do. So you can click the other link in the description to book a free consultation call with us. We'll look at where you are, where you want to go, and map out exactly what that path looks like for you. That being said, I'll see you in the next one.